You're watching Better Business Bureau's Business at its Best, brought to you by Ataraxis. You've got employees, we've got solutions. Human resources, insurance, benefits, and payroll. Our business is your business. BBB's Business at its Best.
If there's a person in the room with you right now, there's a good chance one of you is the victim of identity theft. I'll let that sink in for just a moment. Dale Dixon here, Better Business Bureau. Welcome to Business at its Best. So more than 174 million sensitive records containing personal information were stolen last year. That's more than half the U.S. population. Tonight, we're going to show you the biggest risks and how to protect your personal information. We're spending the entire half hour on safeguarding your privacy. We start at the bank with a look at where thieves are working hardest to steal your money. Then, what exactly is your right to privacy? You'll probably be surprised, as one attorney shows us, the law probably doesn't do enough to make you feel comfortable. It's really your responsibility to protect your sensitive information. And finally, we show you the biggest risks for losing sensitive information on the job at your place of work. A big thank you to the TV stations in Idaho that make this show possible each week. We are airing on KTVB's very own 24/7 in Twin Falls and Boise, and Local News 8's Now channel in East Idaho. Well, last year there were 855 incidents where personal information was stolen or compromised. Now that can range from hacking a computer system, stealing a laptop or a hard drive, to literally just cracking open a file cabinet. And those 855 incidents resulted in, listen to this, 174 million records seeing the light of day. That is not a good thing. Most likely, if you're not a victim, you know someone who is. So we start today with some of the best ways to protect your identity and ultimately your money. Jeff Flora is the manager for corporate investigations for KeyBank. Jeff, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Dale. Good to see you.
So we talk about that 174 million. That was from last year. Obviously, 2012 is not over yet, but we're getting close to the end. In your position in the banking industry, what are you seeing right now as far as the trends go with data theft?
I think that's still increasing. The recent situation that happened in South Carolina, which we lost, 3.8 million records in one hit.
And this was nationwide, BBB's been sounding the alarm on this one too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I really think that there'll be increases. This will continue to increase. Time will tell, but it'll be interesting to see if the number of incidents maybe go down, but the number of records goes up, because when they hit these things, like in South Carolina, they get a lot of records.
That was a massive database.
Yes, it was.
That was hit.
And we're still seeing small ones, like the Penn Station, small ones like that, small businesses, the hotels that are getting hit. Some of them don't make the news, but again, they're happening all the time.
So how are the thieves actually working to steal the personal information? What are they doing?
I think it's electronically. That's the major thing. It's either the phishing, the spyware, the malwares for computers, the vishing, the smishing for your mobile phones. It's technology, and that these people are utilizing these things. They're convincing people to click on links, follow things through their laptop and emails, websites, and getting that information and stealing it. So.
And for the folks at home, it can be something as simple as a name, an address, a phone number, date of birth, bank account information, a credit card number, social security number, anything that is identifying.
That's right. And I still see the low-tech stuff, people leaving things in their car, their purses, their wallets, their briefcases, and leaving it overnight, and they get stolen. And that some of that low-tech stuff still goes on.
Still happens.
Still happens.
So what are the three things that every person should be doing right now to protect their information?
Well, as I've told you before, you cannot be naive about this.
Yes.
Be extremely proactive and diligent in watching your bank accounts, your credit cards, your credit bureau. As I've told you, I check my bank account every single day. Any questionable transaction, I can be right to the bank and say this is a problem.
But that's a great thing, because oftentimes when we talk about the risks, people say, "Well, I don't bank online, so I don't have to worry about it," which isn't true.
No, still get out there and check it, whether you're online or not. If you're being naive enough and not checking that thing, either through your bank, calling your bank, calling a call center, doing something, you're going to be open to be a victim of this stuff. Shred everything that has your name on it. Just take advantage of BBB's shred-a-thons and those things, because all it takes is a name and an address, and I can start going. And even though that stuff's available, I can get a hold of some of that stuff, and that's my first clue. I can get it go from there. If you shop online, Use a credit card, do not use a debit card, and use a separate credit card from what you normally use purchases for. If you can't afford the luxury of credit bureaus and checking these things on a regular basis, then consider one of these monitoring services that will alert you to what's going on out there, because you can't be naive. You will be a victim if you don't take care of yourself.
You have to take action to protect yourself.
Yep,
now.
be proactive.
Be proactive. Jeff Flora with KeyBank, thank you so much for that important information for all of us to hear and realize. And coming up next, if you own or manage a small business and you think data theft isn't something you need to worry about, think again. You're a prime target. How to protect that sensitive information. When we return, you are watching Business at its Best, presented by Ataraxis. Welcome back to Business at its Best. Better Business Bureau, serving the Snake River region, helps people buy wisely and companies sell ethically. When you see BBB accredited business, you know a company has promised to uphold BBB's standards for trust. It is all about the standards: to advertise honestly, tell the truth, be transparent, be responsive, safeguard privacy, and honor promises. Those are important things to be watching for. Ataraxis makes this program possible each week. The company takes care of the day-to-day work of HR, benefits, and payroll, so a business owner can focus on growing the business. Cilley with Ataraxis joins us. Stephen, thanks so much for being with us today. So we're talking about this idea of data theft and how to protect things. As you walk into a business for the first time, what are some of the simple things that you notice that present this huge data theft opportunity for somebody just watching for a chance?
Right. On the low-tech side, it's simply you utilize your front desk person to do work with office personnel information, and it's just sitting on the counter.
So I could have an employment application with a social security number sitting out there, easy to see.
Easy to see, and somebody can either write down the information, take a picture with their phone, whatever they need to do or want to do to get that information on the low-tech side. On the higher-tech side, open wireless networks. Because if it's an open wireless network and it goes into the rest of your company network, it's like leaving your door unlocked at nighttime.
Okay.
Because it's so easy for somebody to get into the network and then get into all your other information that's on there. If they know how to do that, they're going to probably be able to get into something else.
Get that thing encrypted in a good, strong password.
If you need to have an open wireless network for your customers or visitors to your business, have a separate one. Have one that you can easily set them up to where you got a wireless network for your internal use that's with your network, and then have a wireless network that goes separately to the internet directly without hitting the rest of your network.
So what snaps a business owner to attention in this arena of data theft? Because so often we encounter, it's not going to happen to me.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, it usually doesn't snap anybody to attention until they've been hit in the back of the head. So, but once they have been, they usually become as active as possible in getting it.
What is it about getting hit that opens their eyes? Because there's the loss of data, but there's also a lot of fines and scrutiny that comes with it.
Well, a really good one would be is if you are the one that loses the information as the employer and it's tied back to you, you're responsible for it. So the lawsuit that comes from the employees because you lost all their information and they were, their identities were stolen is a real possibility if you don't protect it. So you want to make sure to protect that data. What you can do proactively is we've got a client, an interesting business that basically scans their websites and everything else called Digivice, and they'll do all that. So if you run a site that people log into, have it scanned to make sure that it doesn't have any open portals or anything else that somebody could easily hack through to get to some personal information.
So we're asking all of our guests today to bring us the three simple things. For you, what are the three things that a business owner needs to do Monday morning when they walk in the door to be sure that their data is secure?
First thing is I would look at passwords. Yeah, open wireless networks, that's a big one. Train your security procedures for your personnel.
So your wireless network security, scan that network.
Scan the network and scan your systems, and then also train your people on the security procedures. And like a lot of that is passwords. Have them force your system to change every 30, at the most 90 to 6 months, 90 days to 6 months. Change those passwords and make sure that there's something that aren't easily figured out, because most people use really easy passwords.
Exactly. All right. Good things to do first thing Monday
And then put
morning.
all your data away. Scan your desk and just make sure there isn't stuff sitting out there that has people's information.
Easy
on it.
stuff.
The easy stuff.
Get rid of it. All right. Stephen Cilley, Ataraxis, ataraxispeo.com, the website. Thank you so much. And coming up later on Business at its Best, more ways data thieves are working around the clock trying to get a hold of your most sensitive information. First, think the law is protecting your personal information? Think again. You are watching Business at its Best, presented by Ataraxis. Welcome back to Business at its Best. Better Business Bureau produces this week's show in Idaho to help you shop wisely, and we're also here to help companies sell ethically. Before you buy, be sure to check out a business's reputation at bbb.org. Our focus today is safeguarding your personal information. We partner with Northwest Nazarene University each week to provide you expertise from the campus. Dr. Bill Russell joins us. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Good to be here.
This idea about safeguarding privacy, and a lot of people say, well, the law protects me just fine. So does the law really afford us that right to privacy?
There are a lot of laws that reflect in one way or the other on the right to privacy. So there is a constitutional right. It's not well defined. It's very difficult and expensive to enforce. It provides you protection nominally, but practically it's very weak. There are criminal laws. They vary from state to state. Theft is theft, even if it's intellectual property or something that is data. There are lots of ways that you can steal things other than money or possessions, and so intangibles can be stolen also. But again, that doesn't help you. It happens after the fact. It's more about punishment for the crime than it is about helping you as the victim. And then there are rules about, for example, data interception, wiretapping, those kinds of things. And again, those vary from state to state, but they're hard to enforce, and it's hard to know if they're being violated. So there are laws, but the level of protection that you actually get is really rather modest.
So when somebody says, well, my right to privacy has been invaded, my privacy's been invaded, what exactly does that mean from the legal sense of the term when it's actually applicable and it's true?
Sure. There are several things that can happen. One is that somebody's been careless with something that matters to them. So carelessness is a good way that things get lost and you feel like your privacy is invaded. It's actually your failure to be careful. Another one is malevolent attack. That would be somebody that hacks or tries to steal from you. Okay. And there's a third one that's not unimportant, and that is when the legal system comes and wants to take information from you. Oh. So you may think something is private. Your diary, for example. You know, we write in diaries, private, mine, nobody can look at it. Yeah. You get in a lawsuit, a crime's committed, law will come take that from you in a minute. There's really not much that you do that the legal system can't take from you when it needs it.
Fascinating. You know, we're sitting inside of a television station, so a lot of times reporters think they have privilege to hide a source.
I hope they don't think that anymore.
Okay.
Because that's been long. That fight is long past. Many years ago, I had a litigation case where I was dealing with that question. It involved some outtakes from tapes for a television station, and it went all the way to the Idaho Supreme Court. I represented the TV station, and I lost. And that's where the way law is. There are very few reporter privileges today.
But and so that does not necessarily, well, that would also transfer over, I should say, to my diary or the information
Absolutely.
that I hold or something that somebody told me that I thought I was holding in confidence.
The lawyers or the police want it, they're going to get it.
Okay, thanks for that peace of mind, Dr. Russell. So if the right to privacy is this week, what should obviously it's my responsibility to protect my privacy. What are some of the things that I should be doing?
Well, you've heard some of the things with the earlier speakers tonight as they've talked about things that you can do, high tech and low tech. But I want to focus on one other thing, and that is make sure that you're not creating things that create a needless want for right to privacy. That is, don't create things that are embarrassing that then you worry about whether they're going to get out. Be careful what you write, what you send in emails. Emails don't go away. They're stored on somebody's server even when you think you've deleted them. Yep. Don't write dumb things in emails. Don't put pictures on your Facebook page. Don't take pictures of yourself and put them on your home computer that are embarrassing. Make an assumption that everything you have is something somebody can get, and you'll behave a lot more safely.
Because that is one of those things, you know, I tell my kids, I said, anything you write on a computer, you might as well just go print it on a piece of paper and post it on the front door of the house or somewhere where there's a lot of traffic.
And a lot of people think that if it's on if it's on my computer, my laptop or my home desktop or even my tablet or my cell phone, that it's mine and it's private. And the answer is the law can get it from you, the thieves can get it from you, and you may be careless about what you do with it. So you may put something on Facebook thinking you've restricted it, but you goof up in the restriction process and all of a sudden your future employer is looking at it. Just do your best to minimize the things that have privacy worries.
I hear two words coming out of this, and that's really common sense.
There's a lot of common sense.
A lot of common sense behind this.
Absolutely.
All right. Dr. Bill Russell, NNU, thank you so much for being with us today.
Happy to.
And coming up next on the show, an inside look at how thieves are making off with personal information and, most importantly, more ways to keep you and your money safe through this process. You are watching Business at its Best, presented by Ataraxis. Welcome back to Business at its Best. This is 30 minutes of television showing you ways Idaho companies are working to be better. Whether it's Pocatello, Twin Falls, or Nampa, each company has a responsibility to safeguard your privacy. That is our focus this evening. We're showing you how everything from your social security number, medical information, to banking and credit card information can be at risk for theft. Neal Custer owns Reveal Digital Forensics and Security and joins us. Neal, quickly, though, before we start into this, let folks know what you do at Reveal and what's all entailed in this so they get an idea of your level of expertise in this field.
Well, I guess what we do is respond to incidents involving data theft. We evaluate computer hard drives, cell phones, any mobile devices for evidence of breaches of security, of other evidence of impropriety.
Now, for the folks at home, a story when I utilized your services a couple of years ago. We had a situation where there was just a hint that something might be fishy. I called you in immediately, and you set up shop in our conference room with I don't know how many custom black briefcases full of computer information, and you were able to go in and mirror hard drives and all types of things. So you're talking about a very high-tech way, and we've heard up to this point that anything you do on a computer is going to stay there, and you're one of the ones that's able to find it.
That's correct. We use a forensic software that you're able to get not only that which is visible to the user, but that which has been supposedly erased or deleted in some way.
So, and it was fascinating to see all of that take place. So once, you're often one of the first ones that's called in case of a theft. What are some of the top ways that you see sensitive information being stolen inside of a business?
I think your previous speakers have covered some of them. Probably the one that hasn't been covered in great detail is the internal exposure. It's just like in internal theft cases. Your exposure to improprieties by your employees, by contractors, is probably as high, if not higher, than from an external threat. You figure you've got people who you hire, who you give access to your information, like I said, whether it's an employee or a contractor, that has access to everything. They could easily be compromised, either bought off to steal some of your sensitive information or give somebody else access to it that could steal it.
So for the business owner that's sitting here thinking, okay, internal, those would be people inside my organization. What are some of the telltale signs that you might have a data thief within the ranks?
Well, I wish it was that easy. You asked the question about what does a thief look like, yeah. And I could describe them as 5'8" to 5'10", kind of blondish hair, wears a suit quite a bit, etc. Or maybe he's a little older and has no hair. But it looks like you and I. I mean, it looks like anybody could be a potential thief. The safeguard there is the best you can. Screening your folks, reducing access to their access to information. One
fraud investigator I was talking to, and I asked that question, they said it's the person who shows up early, is first in the office. They're the ones that stay late. They're the ones that never complain and have sometimes been with you the longest and seem most loyal.
Yes, I mean, and that could fit good people and bad people too. The ones that don't take vacation ever, you start to worry a little bit about, how many people are really that dedicated. But yes, people with financial difficulties, and in this day and age, a lot of people are struggling, and I don't want to label anybody that, is having financial difficulties as being a problem, but people that struggle might look for ways to make a little extra money.
Neal Custer, you're going to stay with us for the next segment. We're going to talk about some ways that people can protect that information and some tips that you brought for us. You're watching Business at its Best, presented by Ataraxis. We are back in just moments to finish out this conversation with Neal Custer. Welcome back to Business at its Best. We're on TV in great Idaho towns all over the Snake River Plain, from Jackson Hole, Wyoming to Ontario, Oregon. And we are having a great conversation right now with Neal Custer. And Neal is talking about ways to safeguard your personal information. And you're with Reveal Digital Forensics and Security. And before the break, we were talking about to describe the typical thief. And it's really difficult, but that really speaks to the importance of being sure that you have procedures in place, because we don't want to pigeonhole any person as a thief, but it's important that as business owners we just have those policies and procedures in place and follow them.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you can recommend people do to protect their information inside that business setting?
Well, the first thing you do is you have to identify what kind of personal information you're storing. That's very critical. Then the next thing is to eliminate that which you don't need, and set up policies and procedures to protect it, dispose of anything that you have, and respond, have a policy to respond to incidents of breaches.
And that one is important, to respond. Don't think you can hide it under the cover, because you can't.
That's correct.
All right, Neal Custer, and you are with Reveal Digital Forensics. Folks want to find you online?
RevealDFS.com.
All right, Neal, thank you so much for being with us. And you are watching Business at its Best. Thanks so much for being with us this week. We'll see you back here next week for another edition of the show.